All right, guys, back. Episode 20, Out the Top, August 29th, 2023. I am back in RockLife Studios. As always, we've got Dan with us. How you doing?
How's it going?
Most wonderful. We also have a special guest with us today, Mr. Brayden Upchurch. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm freaking outstanding, sir. So, I'm going to tell on myself a little bit. We recorded, usually we've been trying to do something at least every 2 weeks. Last week, we recorded an episode. I went to edit it to put it out, and my dumb ass didn't hit the record button for lack of explaining it all. So I didn't have anything to put out. So we're back this week. We're going to redo more or less what we done last week and get everything going.
Look at that RockLife coming out the top.
All right, Brayden, now that you've had a free practice run at the podcasting world, tell us a little bit for the people who may not know you. Tell us just a little bit about yourself. Maybe how long you've been racing, what you're racing, whatever you want the peoples to know. Give us a little quick hit here, and then we'll get into the weekend.
I'm Brayden Upchurch, 18 years old. I've been racing about a year and a half now. Started at Wildcat this past season. Started racing in 1000 and raced a few races in it and decided that I needed a little bit more power to keep up with those fast guys that race every weekend. So we started shopping just around a little bit, just messing around. Figured we'd wait till the end of the season, and we come up on a good deal on a Razor in Oklahoma, a turbo with a big turbo, and messaged back and forth with the guy, and wound up picking it up and going straight to Hot Pride last year, and drove from home to Oklahoma, picked the Razor up Thursday, and then
where's home? These people might not know you.
Home's Monticello, Kentucky.
Brayden's my neighbor, guys.
Drove from Monticello to Oklahoma Wednesday night, got there Thursday morning, picked the Razor up, then drove Thursday morning from Oklahoma to Hot Pride and raced it Friday at Hot Pride. Maybe had 10 minutes of seat time in it, if that.
Seat time's overrated. The way we like to do it at RockLife Racing is if you've never tested it, that's the best time to go racing.
That's it.
Get in it and go, damn it.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a fan issue. It was a relay issue before I even raced it, but we got that kind of figured out enough to race it that weekend and did all right, and then finished the season out in it, and now we're still racing it.
I think preparation's for sissies. You just gotta just go, damn it, go.
As long as the harnesses work and the key switch works, you're golden.
Yeah, that's all you need. I mean, as long as you got your safety equipment, that's important. Bolt check your harnesses to hell with everything else.
That's it.
So last year you done good. I remember you first race. I was more nervous for you, I think, than you were. You done good. You stepped up this year, got that new buggy. You've started out the first race of the year, third place.
Yep.
And then we didn't have any podiums from there until about 3 weeks ago. And then you've been lighting the damn world on fire. 2 is good, but you've got 3 podiums in a row, so I think that qualifies as a streak.
Yep. So
you have a 3-race streak. You're not quite on Clay Casson's level. He has a podium in every cup race this year, but a streak's a streak. So you got 3 in a row, 4 overall with a win, setting second in points behind Brandon Davis.
Yep.
That's pretty damn good.
It is.
Brandon's fast. Daniel Heckley's fast. Jay Storch is fast. And to be up there with those guys every week, that's tough. So yeah, from everybody here at RockLife and everybody in Monticello, everybody's proud of you. I know you had some people doubting you when you first started. but I don't think they're doubting anybody anymore. When we gonna see you in a chassis buggy?
I don't know. I've been looking a little bit here and there. I'm kind of undecided on what I'm going to do after this season's over. I've been looking at going to a newer style full body, or maybe finding a good deal on a chassis.
Man, Thomas Lower. Did you see that one Thomas Lower posted?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good start.
That buggy's a tad short. I think it was 96.
Yeah,
That'd be a good cup buggy because it's like coursey.
Right.
Probably turns good.
I feel like that would be, if that, I wouldn't do like hill killing in it, but as far as like a short course little, like a cup car, yeah, I think you're right. And I don't think it'd take a whole lot to kind of stretch that car a little bit.
No, it's a good looking rig. Thomas has had that thing for a while. Somebody needs to buy it because I think he only had it posted for like 6.
I think that's right.
Yeah, so that's a steal.
That comes with one of his drive shafts, and man, those things are proven. So
yeah, that's $1,400 there or whatever it is. So that's a big portion of your cost in a buggy right there. Right on. So, what's the plans for next season? Do we know, like, for sure? Just kind
of. No, not really. I think with being in school and it being college and attendance being part of your grade, it's going to be a lot harder to make every race, and making every race is expensive too.
It is expensive, as
parts are expensive.
And
so we'll probably just hit some of the closer ones, hit some of like, I think Top Trails has a race or two during the year, wheeling in the country, any mountain places like that's got races. Might hit those more than driving 10, 12 hours to hit a national rock.
It's tough. We need to get some influx of sponsors into that series because I think the stock class is just a payback class, and we need to get somebody else in to help subsidize that class and some of the others to try and get some payouts in that because, if it wasn't for you, Jay, Daniel, Dan, and Brandon, all those guys are there every week. You all are there. You are the 5, and then Hoback races most of the time. Outside of that, it's kind of hit and miss.
Yeah.
So we need some more money. Those guys, most of those guys are doing it because they're there anyways.
Yeah.
Like you come for that.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be a little bit more incentives for us to have some more U's come race that series.
Yeah, I think that'd definitely be a good idea if they could find, some sponsors of that class to help boost the pay up a little bit, and then maybe let that be like a cup class, I guess. So at the end of the year, it would have a payout as well, other than it just being 100% payback.
Yeah, and I know we don't talk a whole lot about the youth class, but we've got some of the youth kids who are aging this year. So I think 12 is the cutoff for the youth class. We got some of the youth kids that are aging. There is talks going around of a 13 to 16-year-old class. Not sure on the details on that yet, but hopefully those details get ironed out here before finals. That way people can start getting ready for next year. So there may be a 13 to 16-year-old. I'm pretty sure it'll be a full-body stock UTV style class. My idea was to keep it NA, just a regular 1,000. I don't know what they're going to do. I obviously have no real input. It was just some ideas I was tossing around.
Well, that's something we try to do too, is kind of toss around some ideas with the parents, because they've spent money on these, 170s and 200s, and of course they're aging out. But like most of them don't want to turn around and spend 15, 20 grand on another side-by-side. And, something we've talked about is maybe just doing the same exact courses and let it be a race what you brung type race, but it only be in for like 13 to 16.
Yeah, and, we talked about it. They could do the same courses as the stock class for the most part.
Right.
There may be some, like this weekend was probably, and you all are the ones doing it, so correct me if I'm wrong, but like that little hill at the top. I mean, I know it wasn't crazy, but a lot of times in the stock class, you don't hit those. You're coming down those. So like this weekend may, in my opinion, might have been a little rougher as far as the hills you had to go up.
Right.
You know, so if that was the case, you could bypass that, do something different with that.
Yeah, that hill was kind of intimidating. I didn't really pre-run, but my idea was just to kind of run over the course and see what my lines were. And I had to hit that hill about 2 or 3 times before I knew exactly how I wanted to hit it and go up it. Every time you would hit the right side, it would throw you to the left, and it was like you were kind of going in between trees. You had a tree up top and one at the bottom, so you just couldn't back up without hitting the tree down at the bottom. So, I mean, it was sketchy, and for that to be thrown at you know, some of the younger drivers, I don't know how that would have worked out.
Yeah, no, we need to kind of cut that out, find a way around those. But for the most part, I think we could run that series with the big selection of the stock class that they're running now.
Right.
You know, just make some of these more difficult ups, make them downs or something. I'm sure there's a way to work them in to the courses we're already running, so we're not having to set up a whole other course.
Right.
Boys, we can.
Or,
we can do it.
Possibly do the points different.
Yeah, anything. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to accommodate those kids, because I don't see this first year there's not going to be a bunch. It's just probably going to be 3 or 4 kids.
Right.
You know, just something to keep everybody entertained. We don't want them to lose their focus. Listen, every youth coming up is not going to be Cash LaCroix.
Right.
I mean, he set the bar pretty damn high, racing when he was 7, 8 years old. Every kid is not him. It's going to take some of them a while. So we need to find them a home where they feel comfortable, where they're not too intimidated to come race with us.
Right.
All right, Rush Offroad. Probably one of my favorite places to go watch races. You never quite know what you're going to get at Rush. You're either going to get vertical walls or kind of like what we've seen this weekend, kind of coursey, but with some serious challenges in it. Overall, I think after the last few weeks that we've had racing, I think Rush was a step back for most people. It was a step back and a little tamer, I guess you could say. We'll get right into it. So we'll stock class. This is where in the show, Brayden, we usually let Dan talk about his runs. So we'll start with you today. I'm going to put you on the spot. Run 1, I don't remember your time. I should have wrote it down. But run 1, what'd you think about it? Is there anything you wish you could have done different? What do you think?
Well, the first run was, it wasn't great, but it wasn't completely slow. I think it was a 59 something. I think Brandon and Daniel were somewhere around a 55 maybe.
I can't remember. It was Brandon and Daniel, Dan, then you on the first run. You and Dan were like dead even.
We had both had 59s. So going up that first, right out the start, going up felt fine. And then going back and rewatching, the turn and coming down that hill was kind of slow. And to come down that hill and make that turn the first time, I was really slow getting going out of that into that straight stretch. And coming into the turn, the left hand to go back up was kind of slow. I have trouble gauging when I need to start slowing down. So my fear is I'm going to overshoot it, so I slow down way before I should. But I got back in it, and it felt fine. And I made a couple turns a little wide, and Brandon and Daniel kind of shot up a bank on the uphill part of it. And I was kind of iffy on doing that because there was little ruts dug in it, and they're 72 wide. So if they make it look like no problem, I'm kind of iffy about it because I'm narrower than they are.
Just go.
And the uphill felt fine, and then coming back over on the top road felt fine. Coming down, kind of a little slow, and then you made that right hand turn, and that was just straight powder. Like, you can't get grip in it, so I was a little bit slow through there, and then the rest of that downhill felt okay.
Yeah, I initially thought when I watched your run, of course, just what you said, you were a little hesitant coming over the hill, as most sane people would be. And then I thought originally coming down the last hill, I thought just watching it through my naked eye, I was like, it could have been a little faster. But when I went back and watched the video coming down the last hill, hell, you were on it. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But it looked good. I mean, boys, I don't know. Pretty damn good. 50, for the first run at Rush, first time ever seeing that place. First time ever seeing that place from that perspective. Mm-hmm. You've been there a couple times, but it's pretty good. What about you, sir?
Yeah, I feel pretty good that both of us got top 5 on the first runs. It's I'm kind of like Brayden. I could be faster on the downhills, but it's just unnatural to me. But coming around where he was talking about, I noticed that a lot of people were following the road and then cutting back up. And where he's talking about, it was kind of like a silent portion of the hill. But every time I would get there so fast, it would throw me down in the ruts. So I was just actually forced to stay in the ruts the time going up that hill. And then that bank was the one that we were talking about. It seemed like you just had to hit that thing just perfect for it to throw you up top. But, the place I know that I was the slowest was the downhill off the top ledge. I was worried coming off that top ledge, you had a hook back to the right. But as soon as you hook back right, it dropped off and there was a tree just to the left. And my fear was sliding off and hitting that tree and not being able to back up in time. But, my first run, we were able to kind of sail through there a little bit quicker than what I thought I would do. But, I think we ended up in third on hill 1. And, I wished I could have kept that momentum into hill 2, but unfortunately it started raining and got a little bit slick on us.
And you had a good run and we'll get to that in a second. You had a good run going on hill 2 and just our fucking luck. Yeah, just one of them things. Stock hill 2, which was pretty much the same course, wasn't it? There was a little variation.
Yeah.
Right. We had a variation where we got up to the top. We actually took a trail sooner on the downhill and came down and 180'd and then kind of went back up probably 20, 30 foot and then tied back into the original course.
Yeah. So hill 2, your downhills, like you were talking, were a little bit better. Or they looked more, I don't know. I guess after doing that the first run, it kind of gives you a little bit more confidence knowing that you can. Boys, that downhill stuff sucks.
It's hard to gauge.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to know how fast you need to go without going too fast.
Well, it is. And then for people who are just trail riders who may or may not understand, like, when you're in your RZR, you can set up and you can look forward, down, you can kind of see what's going on. When you're in that race buggy, you're set back in the seat. You cannot lean up. You can't hardly turn your head. It's just hard to – you're basically driving off a lot of these downhills. You're driving off blind.
Right.
You just got to hope you looked at the hill the right way before you started and you have a idea of where you're supposed to be.
Right.
That's why when you go back and watch some of the big bouncers and a lot of the UTVs, when you go up that first little bit and then come back down, there's some guys who are way quicker. And then there's some guys who are sitting up there all puckered up going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And then, once you get the front tires off and you start to be able to see where you're going, then it just go.
Right.
But that initial little roll over that hump would be the hard part.
Right.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Like you're all puckered up, but you're back in the seat just as far as you can get. harnessed in, can't breathe. It's raining. Your visor's fogged up. It's muddy. Your hands are slick because you've got mud all over you. I mean, it's just crazy that how quickly things can sour when everything's going so well. But like you
take DC, DC come around that corner and just wadded it up.
Right.
Just took the line a little wrong. I don't know the guy's name that was in the green big bouncer. Same thing. He come around that corner and just didn't hit it right and wadded it up.
Right.
So it's right there. It's just an edge kind of thing, which is, I mean, you can say that about any part of the course, really, but that downhill, especially that vertical wall, no. So what else? Any other notes on the second run? You think you done good, done bad?
It was middle of the pack run. It felt like, pouring rain coming down.
Well, you got third.
Made it slick. So when it got slick, it you don't want to overdrive it because you don't know what the buggy's going to do with it being slick, how it's going to throw you. And before my run ever started, of course, one of the finish line timers the battery would go dead in it. So Dan went before me, and he gets off the course, and one of the finish line timers are blinking. So I have to sit there in the pouring rain. It was probably 10 minutes.
Oh, it was a while. I was standing right next to you. I was in it too.
And, there's rain dripping all over you. You're getting soaked. Your hands are wet. You don't know. So they got it fixed, and then the first downhill on the second run felt a lot better, and in the videos it looked faster. It looked like I just cut it and come on with it. And then after I got down, I got into it before I was on the stretch. And then I got down to the end of the stretch where you've got to make that sharp left hook back, and it was just sliding straight towards the race line flag. And I'm like, oh crap. So I start gassing it, and the rest of it felt pretty good. I know the second downhill was a little closer back towards the hill that you went up, and I come off of it slow because I knew all of that up there was slick. And so I come off of it really, really slow, and I made the turn at the bottom kind of slow. And then once I got back up there to where you go back to the uphill and I got my turn made, I kind of got back in it a little bit more and went on with it.
Yeah, it looked good. I think if you'd had a dry course, you would have you could have picked up a few seconds. But when we were standing there at the starting line, all I could think about, and we've talked about it on here before, was the time I was at Blue Holler. Tyler Heinzel was turned over in the creek in front of me, and I'm watching the water rush underneath the buggy because it was raining so damn hard, and Tyler was in one of those spots where they couldn't recover him. So they was trying to figure that out, and I was sitting there getting soaking wet. And that's what was running through my mind. I'm like, I bet Brayden is pissed. Like, if he could have took off 20 seconds, after Dan come across the finish line like everybody else had, it'd still been wet. Don't get me wrong. It'd still been wet, but it wouldn't have been near as bad. So, I don't know, boys. I'm glad it's you all, not me. Daniel, your second run looked good. You were on pace to have just a good solid run, and I thought, I'm like, man, we're going to have a good run.
Right.
And you come around that corner, and it just would not go up that hill for whatever reason.
Right. And I don't know if it was just because it had rained so much or just the hill had gotten deteriorated over the course of the day, but that hill was just not going to let us up it. And I was just about to give up. And I was like, I'm just going to hit it, and if it flips, it flips. But, luckily about the fifth or sixth time I hit that thing, it finally let me go on up to the top. I knew that I'd spent so much time trying to get up that hill that my goal after that was just to actually finish, and try to get a time. But, it paid off. I think we wound up in fourth place. So
yeah, fourth place for the day. I could tell after you got up the hill, you were just like, piss on it.
Yeah.
Because you took your time for the rest of the course, because, it really didn't matter after that. I think part of the problem, I'm going to say it, is that buggy's 2 inches shorter on the left side than it is the right side.
Well, that does have a little bit to do with it. That car's lived a hard life.
It because when I seen you do it, it kind of slung you. If you go back and watch the video, it kind of slung you left down into those ruts, and I'm like, that's just the natural way that car wants to turn now.
That's short side.
Yeah, I mean, really, and you just think about like a solo cup on a table. You know, put the small end down here and the big end up here and roll it and see what happens, and that's basically what you're doing. So I think if we in the off season we get a frame half under that deal, straighten it back out, it might be a little easier to drive on you.
Oh yeah, it'd be a new car.
Yeah, it will. Cup class, man, we had a good run going.
Oh, we've got to talk about the Cup class.
Yeah, we're going over it all,
man.
Yeah. So
I think
the first run they decided to let you all jump the jump,
right,
which wasn't originally planned.
Right. Brandon Davis and I were on the hill, and we just briefly mentioned it in passing. Like, oh, it'd be so cool if Clyde let us hit the jump. And, like, Brandon actually said that, and I'm like, no, the hell it won't. But last time I jumped that gap was in the full body, and that's been, years ago at Race to Riches. Mm-hmm. I just remember how violent it was then. But
well, when we rolled up and they originally said you wasn't jumping, I was actually surprised because the last time SRS was there in like 17, the Cup Series jumped it then.
Right.
And it's the cars are better than they were then. The gap's the same distance.
Right.
So I was actually kind of surprised that he wasn't going to do it. And when they finally announced it, like, yeah, it's going to be an option, I was like, oh, that's cool. We're going to get to see a little action on a Cup Series race instead of just normal course. Right.
Yeah, I deep down was excited because that it brought back a lot of good memories. Pretty much it's one of those things though, and I don't care who says it's not. Once you jump that hill, it's like, hell yeah, I just jumped that gap. That's like the biggest gap ever. And you're not really focused on what to do next.
Yeah, it's just go.
Yeah, it's like your line, but it's like as soon as you land, it's such a sigh of relief that you do kind of hesitate just a split second. And we hit it and we got our line and got up to the top, and then we started fishtailing, and a tree jumped out in front of the tire, and that Supergrip climbed just about the top of that tree, boy, I tell you.
That's what we're going to have to call that tire the squirrel.
That's it.
Yeah, it just jumped right out in front of that tree. I was sitting there, I was like, yes, because I was nervous. So a little backstory, Dan came up a little early, and we put of course, we'd busted a motor in that pink buggy at West Virginia. And so you come up a little early to Rush. We spent Wednesday putting a motor and transmission in the pink buggy.
Right.
And right before the race, I said, Dan, did you drive that? Like after we put the motor in? You looked at me dead in the eye and goes, no. I said, don't you want to drive that? He said, I trust y'all. You said it runs, it runs.
Well, it ran.
It did run.
You put the motor in it, and it runs.
But I was nervous as shit.
We did drive it. We drove it right in the trailer.
Yeah.
And, hey, that old red buggy never let me down, man.
Aaron.
I knew the motor out of that would be good.
Aaron Bentley coming out. He said, man, that pink buggy looks good. He's like, it's got more zip to it. I said, yeah, that's my motor in that car, boy. We ain't playing around. It sounded good. It does seem a little still. I don't know if it's clutching or what. But after watching everybody else climb the hill to the jump, it seemed to want to bog just a little bit when it got to the top. But that's the motor that was in the red buggy in Disney. We didn't even so much as put a belt on it. We just put it together and go.
Right.
But overall, it sounded good, looked good.
Yeah, I feel like throw a belt on that thing, it'll be like a new car.
Well, yeah, after we put a transmission in it. Moving on. Run 2 Cup. That was a good run.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was curious how we stacked up that day, and I don't remember if we got 4th or 5th on hill 2 or not. I can't remember how we wound up on that hill.
I'm gonna look it up if you wanna kind of walk them through the.
But hill 2 we didn't jump the gap the next on hill 2. Hill 2 we kind of went around the roadbed and then went up about the middle, and I don't know, for whatever reason, that thing, when we hit it, we were able to just to one-shot everything, and it had enough, I guess, condensation on the course that we were pretty much able to hold the car the whole time to the floor. It wasn't like we were overdriving, we had to let out of it or anything like that. We were just able to mash it and go.
Fourth quick on that hill. So yeah,
but
pretty good run.
I kind of knew how the car would handle on the downhills, so as soon as I saw the finish line, I just wanted it, hope for the best.
It looked good. I was down there trying to video and trying not to be a fangirl, but I had a camera in one hand and I was like, yes, we finished something. After the last few weeks we've had, it was to even get across the finish line in some of these series was a win. I mean, realistically, because if I'd been you, I'd have said to hell with it. Just one of those rotten luck seasons so far this year. Which brings me to the bounty class. So doing some prep for the rundown today, I was looking over points for the bounty series. We finished, I say we, I'm putting this on you, 3 hills this year.
That sounds about right. 3
hills. We had 1 hill at, not Arkansas, the race before that. Where was that at? Wildcat. 1 finish at Wildcat. You hear my cat? We brought her back to the shop today. I felt bad for her.
It's cold off.
Yeah, we had one finish at Wildcat. Then you go to Hot Springs and set the world on fire and win that race. And we've not finished a bounty run yet.
Right.
We've got to do something to get some mojo back. I don't know what that is.
I think we're going to hire a witch doctor to sage the buggy when we get it put back together this go around.
Yeah, because the bounty courses this weekend wasn't. This was the bounty. This was the weekend to run bounty.
Right. It definitely was.
Yeah, and coming up, and I don't know how it happened. You went up and down, and then back up that other little hill, and as soon as it landed, and I didn't even think you were in the throttle.
I don't think I was. I felt like I let out of it and it hit, and then when I got back in it, that's when it just popped.
It grenaded transmission, drive shaft, front diff, all good parts.
Right.
In a place it shouldn't have done that.
Right.
So I don't know if there was not maybe some looming some pre-damage maybe from Disney, because that is the same set that fell off the bluff at Disney.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe there was something in there already not jiving just perfect. But for it to take all that at one time, I don't know.
Right.
Just one of those things.
Definitely know that there's some teeth missing in high gear.
They come back and they said, I think it's high gear. And then I heard you putting around going to the starting line to get your points for the second run. And I was like, that's more than high gear. That sounds like every gear. But that's okay. It's a good thing we run an off-road service shop here at RockLife Offroad. We'll get that baby fixed up. That's no problem. All right, so along with the out the top podcast we're doing now. We're also going to start filming some races. Kind of done it by accident at West Virginia. So we went in there and set up as a vendor at West Virginia to sell parts. Well, that was a mistake. General rule, if I can't get the vendor trailer next to the hill, I don't need to go. Shouldn't have went to West Virginia because I couldn't get the vendor trailer next to the hill. But we were at the top of the hill.
Right.
And literally across from my vendor trailer was the top of the hills. And I'm like, well, we've not got any foot traffic here at the vendor trailer, so let's walk over here and get some video for TikTok or whatever. Ended up getting quite a bit of video. Put together a little just half-ass edit. Put it on YouTube. Nothing crazy, but it done pretty good. I'm like, man, this is like I kind of like this. This is pretty cool. So we drove down to Hawk Pride, got some more on Friday, because I feel like the Friday classes don't get their attention.
Right.
So when we do videos, I am going to especially get the Friday guys, if at all possible, and get that posted on YouTube. So this past weekend, we went down. Of course, we were set up at Rush, and then me and Lane got some videos. We got all the Friday classes. Got the Saturday classes. Didn't get the youth class. I did get some of Brantley running. But I didn't get to go. I didn't go up on the hill. I stayed on the bottom. Lane got to go up on the hill next to the bouncers, and I kind of wish he was here to. He wasn't talking to the microphone, so I don't know why, but to kind of explain like the difference on kind of old school. You know, being up on the hill with a video camera. Used to, you could go beyond the hill and watch these, 1,500 horsepower buggies. You could feel it a little bit more. You could see the rocks whizzing by your head. But Lane got to go up and do that this weekend. But in only his first real big bouncer race, he got to experience something I hope nobody ever has to experience. So the bouncers, like the Razor buggies, jumped the gap. And there was some of them that were looking pretty, I don't know, like they should have pulled out before they got to the jump. Should have rolled it and climbed it. I definitely think the Razors jumped it better for the most part. But DC was driving Justin Wheel's buggy because Justin sustained an injury at the last event. Actually, Justin has had a pretty rough last 3 or 4 weeks too.
Right.
So Justin has sustained an injury, recruited DC to run the buggy. DC had a good run on run 1. Run 2, he came up just a tad short on the jump. And going by my video, what we've got, and it's on the YouTube bouncer video that we put up, the rear end of that buggy landed on the uphill edge of the top of the jump, the top of the gap, and kind of cased that buggy out. DC sustained a back injury. I'm no doctor. I wasn't there. I'm not going to, talk on that. But it was a back injury. They thought he was going to have surgery. Did not end up having to have surgery. I talked to him for just a minute today. I texted him, asked him how he was doing, how he was feeling. He said he was very uncomfortable, very sore. But, I talked to him. I said, well, at least they didn't have to cut on you. You didn't have to have surgery. So he's going to heal. But I want everybody to keep DC in their thoughts. He is a hard customer to keep down. He will be back at some point. I just hope he listens to everybody so he can get back and not re-injure himself. So on that note, other than the jump at Rush, and I'll ask both of you this, I'll start with Dan so you can think for a minute because you've only got so many runs to pull from. Out of all the runs that you've done, Bounty, Cup, Pro Rock, Outlaw, if there's one that you would have went back and said, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this, Like, what is the sketchiest run that you have ever attempted? I put you on the spot.
Well, there's actually two. The very first one was the first time I was in your car, was Race to Riches 3, and that thing was slicked up, and I guess you had buffed that thing before you brought it to Race to Riches, but we hit that hill one, and dude, nobody was able to climb that thing. That was the first few scratches we put on the old 26 car.
I was very disappointed you scratched my baby.
Yeah. But then probably the next one was the Hero line at Disney. Like I should have just rolled up on that thing and of it knowing what I know now.
Yeah. Well, also I think on that run, that's one of those that you need to see somebody go up.
Right.
Like, I know everybody wants to be the first. That's fine. I get that. But when you're racing, I don't give a damn if we're the first to go up something. I want to just do it.
Right.
And I think had you seen or witnessed somebody go up it before we did, because I didn't. We walked up to it, and DC was telling me that, yeah, hit the jump it right here. It'll go up. And I was looking at him like he had two foreheads. I said, you're stupid. There ain't no way. There's nobody climbing this.
Right.
And so you roll up, and we were the first ones. So you roll up on it. You know, it is what it is. We didn't make it. But I think if we'd have visualized and seen somebody go up it first, I think that would have changed the game, because you can't tell me that's not the case, because Cooper did the same thing. He's seen you flip, and Cooper can climb anything. He is probably the hottest thing going in UTVs right now, and bouncers. And, you know, we got a little flack for not picking him to win the championship in our mid-season show, and I'm pretty sure he's won damn everything since.
Right.
So maybe we set a fire under that boy's ass, but Cooper didn't make that climb either.
Right. He was smart about it.
Well, he didn't see anybody do it. He was right after you. I think if he'd have seen somebody climb it and know that it was doable, he would have tried a little harder.
Right.
Or tried a different line or something. But I just feel like sometimes you need to see somebody do it. Okay, you. Stock class, yeah, whatever. It's not really that crazy. So what's the craziest thing you've ever climbed, ever done in the Razor? It doesn't even necessarily have to be racing in your case, because like I said, all you've really done is the stock class and then some of the AOP stuff.
Mine's still racing. It's Bikini Bottoms last year. I don't like to jump. And that was a pretty big jump for someone who had never like completely jumped a Razor before.
You talking about out in the weeds?
Yeah.
Oh, that ain't.
And then coming off of it, and you know, you jumped it, and then you made a loop, and you come back down, and then you had to drive back out the same bench road that you come in, and on that bench road, I guess I hit a log or something, and it slid my rear end sideways, and I just started sliding like I was going to go all the way over the hill. That's not a hill that you would like to roll off of.
No, it's not.
And every video that everyone took that I watched, everyone's just kind of like, oh, crap.
I can show you a video of some guys rolling off of that. Dan, I think this might have been before you started running SRS. I'm not sure if it was Kyle Lowry's Razor at the time, if he was driving it, or if it was before he got it. But I'm pretty sure it was the Razor that Kyle used to race, the full body. It fell off of that hill at Bikini Bottoms and just wadded itself up.
Yeah, that would have been a ride.
Bottom. Yeah, no. Bikini Bottoms is an intimidating place. That's the first time I run there. The only time I run there, I was nervous as shit, and I wasn't doing nothing. Like I was just happy to get finishes. Didn't care about going fast. Travis Skelton said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just out here riding around, bud, getting points. I'm out here Matt Holton only going faster than Matt Holt's bouncer's ever been. Love you, Matt. All right, guys. That'll be it for this week. Stick around. We're going to have the rundown next, where we'll go over all the finishing results from Rush Offroad. Brayden, thanks for coming. Dan, I feel like I just seen you 2 days ago. Hopefully we'll get to see you in a couple weeks at Indian Mountain for the Ride for a Cure. Bye, guys. Hey, guys, back for this week's edition of the Rundown here on Out the Top. We raced at Rush Offroad in Rush, Kentucky for round 7 of the National Rock Racing Association. We'll start right with the youth class. Youth saw Brantley Havens with another win, Ramsey Trainer in second, and Dallas Heckley in third for the season. Brantley is your points leader with 661 points. Dallas Heckley in second with 603. Clara Hoback in third with 597 points. Venn class saw Charles Karras with the win, Don Curtis in second, and Justin Hoback in third. Charles has got the season points lead with Justin in second and Don Curtis in third. UTV stock class, the RockLife Offroad UTV stock class presented by Supergrip ATV saw Daniel Heckley with a dominating win with Brandon Davis in second and Brayden Upchurch in third. Brandon Davis is your series points leader with 613 points. Brayden in second with 558 and Daniel Heckley in third with 519 points. UTV Unlimited class saw Cooper Bentley with another win, Brandon Davis in second, and Clay Kaysen continues his podium streak. He's podiumed in all 7 events this year in the Unlimited class. Clay is your series points leader with almost a 100-point lead, 653 points. Brandon Davis in second with 564, and Cooper Bentley with 509. The UTV Bounty class saw Cooper Bentley with another win. Clay Kaysen in second and Wyatt Wilson running for Casey Howell in third place. Casey is your series points leader with 453 points. Cooper Bentley in second with 408 points and Josh Kropinski in third with 326. The bouncer class, Daniel Heckley was your winner. Brandon Davis in second. Ethan Martin in third from Rush, Kentucky. Brandon is your series points leader with 639 points. Daniel Heckley with 547. And Cooper Bentley rounding out the top 3 with 487 points. Guys, Cooper has been on a tear this year. Look out for him. He is going to be a threat for years to come. Guys, next event coming from Rush Springs Ranch in Missouri, September 15th and 16th. That is the National Rock Racing Association round number 18. We will not be there. Out the Top Media is not going to make an appearance there. We are headed to Indian Mountain for Ride for a Cure, event I've been trying to get back to for the last several years, and we're headed back down there. I think Dan's coming with me, so we're going to miss Rush Springs Ranch, but we are going to be doing all kinds of activities from Indian Mountain. Guys, get to one of those places that weekend. If you can get to Rush Springs, go there. If you can get to Indian Mountain, go there. It's going to be an awesome weekend for off-road and events, and we hope you get to make it out to one of those. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another episode of Out the Top, and then we're going to record one live from Indian Mountain as well. So look for that to be coming out in the future. Also, check out our YouTube page. Go subscribe to that. Help us out. We're really trying to grow that. We appreciate everything you guys do. Make sure, rate, review, follow, and we'll see you soon.
This episode is brought to you by RockLife Offroad. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.